long hair, because I've been in prison. I should have a striped shirt. I don't have a striped shirt. So, let's talk about how you end a comedy. Examining both the endings of the anime for Prison School and the manga for Prison School, which wrapped up around 3 months ago, to my surprise. So I read it last night, so now I have all these thoughts. Isn't that right? Prison School. Oh, land. So Prison School is this fantastic absurdist comedy that has gross out, highly sexual, and illegally run prisons in schools. It's fantastic. It's fantastic in a weird, awful kind of way. It's so much. It is just, I'm getting hot. Prison School is a weird kind of show / weird thing. So they'll take a concept or a plan and then they will make it extremely absurd. Part of the comedy is from the ridiculousness and absurdity of what goes on, but also of how serious everyone takes everything and the extremes of what is displayed. The amount of sweat on a person's body, of the amount of thought someone puts into an answer that means nothing to them. The ridiculous Rube Goldberg's prison breaks. There's this group of guys that are the first men to be introduced into this all-girls school, and there's an underground student council that runs a prison in the middle of the schoolyard, and they throw the boys in there. And there are 3 hot, attractive girls that then run these boys through their imprisonment. So it's got this cool spy, counter-spy going on, and the comedy happens when their plans hilariously fail and end in somebody's face getting in someone else's chest or butt or other. YouTube isn't going to show this to anyone, are they? No, YouTube's not. Oh, look at all of the words we don't want people to see. Oh. Ignore this one, skip on by. When you subscribe, be sure to hit the bell so that you can see when I do topics like this that YouTube won't want to show to people. Thanks! So the anime ended a couple of seasons ago, after the first arc, when the boys get out of prison. Once the boys are allowed to leave prison, the underground student council is put into prison by the actual student council. Yeah, this scans. You know, there's some light wrap-up. The one couple that's been teased the entire time, it kind of gets to be together now, it's implied. And the other boys get to be free to, I don't know, flirt with random women. The second arc of Prison School is actually really interesting because the previous keepers of the prison are now trapped in the prison. And we've seen all of their characters kind of develop. And everyone kind of cares for each other, so that's kind of nice, but everyone's still kind of scheming and making plans. So what we have is now the boys that were previously in the prison kind of, sort of, maybe helping the girls that are currently in there, / trying to get their own way out. An absurdity. It's complete absurdity. It escalates until they're all competing together in a school festival for the girls' freedom, and there's backlashes, and there's everyone making schemes, and there's trading of underwear, and during this, a love triangle pops up for our main people. The first relationship that's introduced and kind of grows through there is Kiyoshi and Chiyo. But a different sort of relationship is established between Kiyoshi and one of the girls, Hana. And I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's because they're both kind of weird throughout the show, and I don't see Chiyo doing as many weird things and getting caught in such weird situations as the rest of the cast. But Hana is kind of down in the dirt with everyone else. And maybe it's just all of the sad, cute faces that they drew of her. But I was kind of pulling for Hana. So after the second arc, the prison is demolished. The third arc is this kind of weird little thing because it's pretty much all epilogue and all wheel spinning, but there's new characters introduced, and no one is in prison, but everyone's only kind of at school, so everyone is... So weird quirks of the third arc are people kind of missing being in prison, and also people developing love triangles. Everyone gets a love triangle for some reason. Social fallout from weird public indecency that happened previously in the show, and everyone's love triangle kind of starts wheel spinning. Like, even the giant guy gets a love triangle. But, like, also cool and kind of heart-touching at the same time, because you have read 200 some chapters of these weird people, so you get to know them and care about them. If you make it that far, So we have 3 love triangles. One starts up in the 3rd arc and resolves in the 3rd arc a few chapters later, with a lot of wheel spinning and repeated words. They do this like neat thing where they'll show a dramatic part from later in conversation, and then the next chapter they'll start back in the middle of the conversation and will build to that big part. It's funny, but also terrible. Terrible and annoying because it took so long to come out. So you're reading it, and the love triangle that all of a sudden sprang up is resolved. Though the love triangle is weird in how it's like, it's an oddly compelling love triangle. So there's a guy that really likes Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and there's a girl that really likes Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And you're like, oh, this is easy. They're going to get together. But a one-off joke character called Slut-chan, YouTube's not going to show anyone, Slut-chan comes in, and she's like, no, I think you're really cool, and I can learn about the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Why not go out with me? And I'm reading this, I'm like, Slut-chan has a point. These people don't know each other very well. She could just come in. It doesn't really matter who it is. Plus, this love triangle just started in this arc, and I'm not really invested, but I am slightly compelled by Slut-chan breaking the comment and like calling everyone else out on how these kids kind of don't know each other. It was amazing. Slut-chan, best girl? Like, what? I already have a best girl in this thing, so I don't know. Slut-chan could make great YouTube videos analyzing things. I hate it. I hate that her name is Slut-chan. Might be worse. Damn. So in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms love triangle, it doesn't really matter who wins. And meantime, in the kinky BDSM love triangle, there's 2 people. There's one clear person that cares about it, but that guy likes someone else more. It's like weird. But that one resolves in the final chapters like nicely. You know what this is going to be. You know how this is. I hope this is going to end this way and this is going to be evil. We're all down to Kiyoshi and Chiyo and Hana. Kiyoshi and Chiyo kind of know that they both like each other, but also he's ignoring her birthday, and for some reason there's so many weird jokes in this. So let's talk about how you end a comedy. Everything goes back to the master, Shakespeare. You end comedies with marriage and children, and you end tragedies with death. That's the nature of their stories. That's what both ones go to. That's thematically how you tie everything together. Comedies are meant to make people laugh and look forward to the future and see joy in things and absurdity and the things that are worth sharing in life with, say, children. And dramas show where men fall short and their flaws drag them down so we can learn from them and be better people. But stories have grown and evolved and made it so that different endings do different things depending on the message that you want to spread with your movie. As I've said on this channel before, Hunter S. Thompson did the kind of thing where every story ended with him leaving by the scrap of his teeth and the bad guys winning because the bad guys are winning and he wants us to make a change in the world. And it seems that some Christian movie about God being alive or not took my advice in when you want to change the world, you leave a bad ending to your movie where the bad guy wins so that you can make your audience feel like they need to change things. Someone's watching. One of you pastors are watching me. If you want to be like the pastors that write the sermons to movies that are God is not dead, you could subscribe too. So the question is prison school trying to get us to learn something? Do we have like a lesson here? What could this absurdist comedy have to tell us that we didn't know? Illegally holding someone against their will is bad. Prisons aren't good. So this reminds me of another bad ending to a fun comedy. Wet Hot American Summer. My in-depth movie discussions with my friend Trey on this channel, Trey and Ray talk about movies. We talk about Wet Hot American Summer, and in that, the end of it, the guy doesn't get the girl. I think it's Michael Ian Black? Maybe. I don't know. The themes of Wet Hot American Summer are the fleeting Wet Hot American Summers. The fleeting time in a summer camp. The fleeting, frivolous, but also fun and carefree kind of life that comes with being in a summer camp or being a teenager, where relationships spring up and fade away. One of my favorite things about the continuation of the movie, the Wet Hot American Summer 2, whatever the series, the Netflix-only series that came out, is that it takes the actors from that are 30 years older and put them in the same... It's actually a prequel. God, I love it. I love it so much. They understood this theme so much. Of course they did. They wrote the movie. But they understood this theme so much that the character that has the love triangle with the girl, he's actually after a completely different girl in this show in the beginning. It's amazing. It's so fantastic how they get it. But when we watch a movie and a comedy, we get very disappointed when there isn't a romantic payoff. When we have movies that star children or teenagers, they kind of can't end in marriage and children because they are children. So they tend to end with a dance at prom or a kiss, and this is like the pinnacle of this movie. So the way that Prison School doesn't resolve its main emotional plot is reminiscent of that, but do they have the same meaning? Prison School does have fleeting teenagers that make mountains out of molehills and big deals out of weird things, and also strike girls. So much lewd. There's a lot of nip slips, roping, and staring people of the opposite gender and same gender into this show, and it just revels in it, and it's all there in front of you. If Prison School had a lofty goal, like imparting a lesson in its ending, then it would be undermining it, possibly. You have to be really careful what your lesson is when you're a show that takes part in such debauchery throughout the entire thing. Like, it's fun debauchery, and it's funny, and it's, I don't know, I guess people can find it hot, but it's not really a thing to tell you not to do it at the end. The manga ends following through on the absurdist humor that's been going the entire time. It's not good enough that you go in a barrel and roll towards a river so that you can pee in it, but it is enough to reveal that you are wearing someone else's underwear and accuse them of wearing yours when they have lied about not wearing your underwear, and then suplexing them, ripping off their pants, landing on their stomach as they, through the panties they are wearing, pee into the air and it rains on everyone, is how Prison School ends. And it is unsatisfying and unfilling, and also a weird prank joke on everyone who watched it. It's just more Prison School. It prison schooled its own major romantic arc. It's perfect and utterly unsatisfying and very Prison School. Having something like manga that is made week by week by one or two people that are toiling and really probably not writing through the entire draft, kind of giving you the first draft, as I've said before, and that's how I feel about manga, might feel like it's something that you can play with, or they should have ended it one way or another. But a lot of things with art is kind of out of the person's head, and I feel like that's the kind of momentum. It did feel like wheel spinning in a way, but it's the kind of momentum that someone plans out ahead of time as a joke because they think it's funny. We should fight the urge to say that something had a bad ending or that something's ending should have been different because we're possibly wrong. There is a time and place for fan fiction and for changing the ending and for OVAs and for parallel universes, but that is after we take in the original work of art, I'm going to say, and absorb what it is and what it did and how it made us feel and why. Hopefully this made you feel good. Please like the video if you made it through any part of it. Like, hopefully the people that already left after I summarized Prison School would like it anyway. It helps out the video. I enjoy it. I also have a Patreon. If you have a free $1, I could use $1. You can free me from this prison I've put myself in. Leave a comment down below if you read it or if you're ready to read the manga. We'll have a discussion on what you thought about the ending. And we can totally fanfiction it up, how Hana then gets together with the guy that has given up on Chiyo. It's so... how it might be kind of dumb that Chiyo becomes just like her sister. But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's cool. Like, worse than me doesn't want to.